I'm waiting for the drop. Welcome to another episode of the Super Fantasy Bros Super Podcast. You may have watched a bunch of episodes of us wearing the same clothes, but not today. Today we're wearing the same clothes as each other.
Yeah, we had the same idea in mind. What's up, Mike? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I, as always, am Michael Vanderveen, joined by my co-host and partner in crime, Timothy J. Shirtleth Esquire, PhD.
CBD, THC.
Yes, all of those things. T-shirt, as they call him on the streets.
That's right.
And we went and saw the Fantasy Footballers live.
Had the same idea because we were just hyped from the amazing show they put on. So.
We're stealing their secrets, slowly but surely, bit by bit.
Mike, you're looking hot.
It's hot in here.
Yeah.
Oh
I meant sexy, but yeah, it's hot in here.
Yeah, that too. What you guys do not realize is that it is a sweltering 155,000 degrees in this studio right now.
It's a furnace. It's an actual furnace.
Yeah. There is sweat everywhere, including the places that we dare not speak of. Today we will be discussing, speaking of balls that are quite wet and sweaty, speaking of balls in general, let's get into catching balls, because today we're going to be talking about our top 20 wide receivers.
These guys handle balls.
Now this series has been a top 10 series the rest of the way through, but today we're going to discuss a top 20 because, Tim?
There's more depth to wide receiver, and it's just more fun to talk about more players. So it's really hard to stop at 10 wide receivers.
That's true.
The league has turned into more of a passing league, and fantasy has sort of swung that way. There's a couple bell cow backs that we talked about in the previous episode, but a lot more wide receivers that are going to be viable that you're going to want to hear about. So we're going to just get into all the different guys that could be wide receiver 1s or 2s for your team. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess you're going to hear my hot breath. So anyways, yeah, we're going to get into it. So do you want to get started on number 1?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty obvious one.
Yeah, we have, in general, pretty good consensus. We're going to talk about our consensus ranks here, and then, who we, diverge from. One guy I might like more, one you might like more.
But we definitely agreed on pick 1.
Pick 1 being Mr. DeAndre Hopkins of the Houston Texans.
I mean, he was great at catching balls when he had garbage quarterbacks throwing to him.
So I think PFF put out a stat that he had no uncatchable balls. Well, no catchable balls not caught for the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's ever been done in the PFF era or in any era, possibly with a minimum, Obviously, if you catch one, you're there. But Tom Brady would qualify then.
Yeah.
But he's he's one of the oldest people to catch a pass in the NFL, by the way, over 40. But
and the oldest player to be targeted in the postseason as well.
Yeah, there you go. But DeAndre is not an old man. He's in the prime of his career, and he just keeps getting better every year. I almost had a chance to have him in a dynasty league. I drafted him one season too late to qualify, but he's just since his second year breakout, he's just been ascending, and I think he deserves to be consensus. There's some argument for someone like Devontae Adams, who we'll get into, OBJ, Julio. Yeah. There's really a top 6, I think, that everybody would put, there's the tier.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
But yeah, for my money, the target share, a good offense, and, a good quarterback that, they just heavily utilize him in their offense. So you can't go wrong with that. Now, where would you pick him amongst the top 6 or 7, where you looking at him? Because that's, I think, what it really matters when you're talking about Hopkins.
Yeah, I think 6. I think 6 is a fair bet. I mean, there's Barkley, McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, definitely taking them before
and Zeke. And then
Zeke is assuming that everything,
his contract situation doesn't get out of hand.
Contract situation goes well, and assuming that the lawsuit from the security card.
I think that's already been cleared.
Oh, okay.
So I think it comes down to then a lot of people might have David Johnson, but I'd say
David Johnson I think I would take before.
I would as well.
Hopkins.
But
especially in our half point PPR.
You could easily make an argument if your strategy is to not lose your draft in the first round. I mean, David Johnson was running back 10 last year. And while we think it's going to be better than that, DeAndre Hopkins was wide receiver 1.
Absolutely. You can make a case for 5.
He's a lock top 5 wide receiver. So
yeah, you can make a case for 5. Easy. No question.
Totally. So you want to start us off with the number 2?
Yeah, number 2 is another consensus pick between the two of us. It's almost like they're obvious or something.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams is our pick 2.
They're definitely not going to finish this way, guys. So don't be slaves to ADP. But, draft the value as it comes. And Devontae's just, another guy that ascended and just scores touchdowns every
I just believe we're
week.
going to have a big year from Aaron Rodgers, and I believe Devontae Adams will be the one who benefits from that.
If you want consistency, that's what he offered you last year and what he should continue to offer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has 3 touchdown a week upside, but also, week
He's
in, week
get the
out,
yards. Yeah.
he had like 8 points minimum in a half-point setting, and I rode him to a championship last year. You need that to add that to the accolades that you intro me in with.
Oh, okay.
You're defending.
Defending
Super
league
Fantasy
champion.
Bros fantasy league champion.
Once you have 2 championships like myself, then
and Cole
Cole has 3.
Does he now?
Yeah, Cole leads the league, unfortunately.
Well, that's just not fair because I just got added to the league like 3 years ago. So yeah. I'm coming for you guys.
My goal is to take Cole down. I wanna get back to tied.
Well, good luck, except for not, sir. So
I want my trophy back.
We have a 3A and a 3B.
Yeah, because we disagree, but we only disagree by 1.
Yes.
You have Julio as 3.
I do.
I have Odell Beckham Jr. as 3.
No arguments there. I mean, I have Odell at 4. You have Julio at 4.
Yeah.
And you've since come around a bit more on Julio.
Yeah. We previously recorded this episode but lost feed for those who will never know this. But
yes.
I originally had Julio, 5 or 6?
Something like that.
Just because, in my opinion, at some point he's going to get old. At some point, last year it took him a while to get started. And, maybe that was a sign of things to come. So I'm still not giving him the 3 spot, but I'm not dropping him as low. I've been listening to a lot of stuff since then that kind of swayed my mind and reading a lot on it.
Yeah.
But I still would rather have Odell Beckham Jr. in a setting where I feel like he's going to be the star. Like he's,
right.
He's already been a star with, Eli throwing to him.
I mean, he was on the trajectory to be the wide receiver 1 with Eli in his second year basically.
Yeah.
And he broke out his rookie year and then just was putting up insane
And if
numbers,
Baker Mayfield lives up to his hype, Odell should be.
Odell's got the youth on Julio and the good quarterback situation. We just haven't seen it in Cleveland yet, and he's 100%. Had the injury bug. Big
I'm taking
time.
the risk here, but
you gotta hope the ankles hold up, and But his yards after the catch ability, his extremely monstrous hands and freak show catches.
Oh my god!
I mean, but
so hot.
You can't go wrong with either of these guys. You're talking about a freak show that's like Julio Jones, built in the lab to be a wide receiver. So he's the kind of guy that's gonna likely lead the league in yardage because he will have that 180 yard plus game or 3.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
But he might get you 3 for 43 in a tough matchups. For example, they play the AFC South this season, and so he's gonna have Jalen Ramsey and stuff for matchups. But on the other side of the coin, he has 13 games indoors, and I think Julio, generally speaking, is a better indoor player. So is Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
So that's actually why I'm higher a bit on the Falcons passing game. It's actually a more competitive schedule as well. So to not get too much into the nuance, those are things that are working in their favor.
Yeah.
So
I'm basing it on age. You're basing it on schedule a little bit more.
And OBJ is super exciting and has, I'd say, more upside than Julio.
I mean, I wouldn't be sad to have either of them on my team.
God, no.
To be perfectly frank.
Yeah, get that running back probably on the turn, and then come back with Julio or ODB if you're so lucky enough to have that happen, or vice versa, and you're sitting pretty.
And then we have a consensus 5.
Yep, Michael Thomas.
Yes, which
he's
done it before.
Yeah, they go Michael Thomas for some reason. So yeah.
Now we do too, I guess.
Yeah. I'm gonna
stealing all their secrets.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, Michael Thomas, he's done it before. He's got Drew Brees.
Now that we're in the industry,
quarterback.
Yeah. I like to feel like we're a part of things.
Yeah,
But yeah,
we'll have our welcome party soon.
Who are you talking about? That I think I've heard of that guy before.
Who, Drew Brees?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Some people have heard of him before.
Yeah. He's okay.
He's up and coming.
Yeah.
He's a little short, but I think he'll do good things.
Yeah, he's only 37 years young, but or whatever it is, but keeps on doing it. And Michael Thomas just super efficient, he was on such a torrid pace to start the season. Faded a little bit, but like they don't have a ton of options in the passing game. They've become more of a run first team.
Yeah.
But without Ingram there, and instead moving into Latavius, they might need to open it up a bit more. And Thomas is still like their clear cut guy.
This,
So, I mean, that's another bankable. I mean, I think everybody has Thomas right at 5.
Yeah.
Just with the way things break. Doesn't have maybe the top
if
3
you grab a
upside
first round
that
running
the other
back
guys do.
And you swing back and you get Michael Thomas, you're in good shape.
Yeah, so maybe just draft Thomas right at value and feel good about it because the experts have him at 5 and these experts have him at 5, and I think that's right.
I think we agree. Let's see here. On the next 4 picks, we agree. So
okay.
let's run through them.
Yeah.
Next up is Juju.
And he's the last of like the elite, like top 3 upside.
I would agree.
He hasn't done it without Antonio Brown, as everybody knows. So, we have yet to see him try to beat the, safety hovering over his coverage. He won't be able to work the inside as much as he did so the efficiency is going to go down, but the talent is just undeniable. He's one of the most fun guys to own, in my opinion, just because he scores 99-yard touchdowns and, makes tough catches over the middle.
And he's in an offense that has produced, top 3 wide receivers. It's an offense that's proven to work for pass catchers. So I think, that works in his favor. Yeah. Frankly.
Yep. So, I mean, Ben's going to be throwing a lot, and he lost his favorite target. So his new target is going to be Juju.
And they drafted that nice, rookie wide receiver who's going to...
Deontay Johnson. But they also have Dante Moncrief and... who's the other guy? James Washington, obviously, is actually probably their
so there will be other guys to help spread the field for Juju, I think.
Exactly.
And he has an opportunity there.
No, I agree.
100%.
But yeah, he's just one of those guys that like looks like he's not running that hard, and he's just blowing by people. He's just so smooth in his ability. So I love watching him play.
Yeah, me too. And then we've got another consensus at Mike Evans, who's just sexy.
Right.
He's sexy to watch.
Perennially like undervalued, I guess, because it's like Mike Evans would be like, what the fuck do I gotta do to be a top 5 wide receiver in the league, Yeah,
and it's gotta be better than those guys,
I guess. Yeah, and that's tough to do. I mean,
it's very tough to do. It's a high order.
Yes, but
especially if with the quarterback play he's had in Tampa, he's managed to make it work, but it's inconsistent.
Inconsistent, sure, but people are excited about Bruce Arians coming in.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
The air raid with a 6'5", 230, beast of a man. Less targets to be swallowed up by whatchamacallit. They got Adam Humphries is gone, and Deshaun Jackson. I was thinking of reaching for Humphries' name, but without those 2 guys that were in the lineup day in, day out, everyone's hyped on Godwin, but who knows how much of the target share he'll command. So Mike might come back to one of those like higher percentage target shares guys.
And even with the lower percentage, he was still crushing it. So.
His targets are way down the field, and he catches touchdowns like crazy. You should not feel sad at all about picking Evans at like late second round
and having him be your wide receiver 1.
Oh yeah, that's what I was hoping would drop to me when we did our last mock draft where
with
I had
SK.
So I had Kelsey, which I was so stoked about in the second round, but Evans would have just been like, and I win the league.
But you grab who's your running back?
I had McCaffrey and Kelsey to start the draft, so I needed to.
So if you got McCaffrey, Kelsey, Evans, that's
I'm
boom.
just like it's over.
Sitting pretty.
But
that is a daring dream. To have.
No, that shouldn't happen. So
no,
but draft Mike Evans at value. I mean, he's lock. So.
And then our next pick we both agree on as well, which is T.Y. Hilton.
Actually. I
forgot Brown. I'm sorry.
AB 80.
I skipped the Bay Area boy now.
Yeah, or
Antonio
Las
Brown.
Vegas. Where is he in?
Oh, it's hard to say.
I don't know. I don't see myself ending up with Antonio Brown in a lot of leagues.
Because neither do I.
This is one. He's consensus.
I have fear surrounding him, but
I guess this is where he's going in drafts. But like
8th wide receiver.
If it's between him and a Studley running back. I'm taking the running back in this case. Maybe I'll find him on my roster in like a league.
Yeah.
But I just don't know where the Raiders are going to go this season. I'm going to watch Hard Knocks and see how I feel about the team as a whole.
That makes sense to me.
And since he's so mercurial, Antonio, I just don't know what to expect out of him these days.
Yeah.
But he is like literally the best wide receiver in the world. So don't underestimate this man. He's so exciting to watch and also weirdly underrated, I think.
Like, for 1 year they did it with when Amari Cooper was there. They had top 5 wide receiver upside in Oakland.
Right.
With Carr. So
totally.
It's not impossible.
Yeah, I just we have to work the kinks out where I have more faith in OBJ and Mayfield working it out.
That's why when we make these lists before the preseason, it's all kind of more up in the air. But
so it's hard
to talk to me week 3.
Right. So it's hard to envision it right now, but like if we see it through the preseason and training camp and all that, and we're like, okay, I can see this. Like he has an opportunity to move. Maybe past ranks. Evans, but maybe I'm so locked
I don't think
in on this
get
top
past
7.
Juju,
yeah. So I think he only has room to more go down.
He could potentially crawl up into that top 5 space, and so he could be a nice
on talent
alone. If you
want
to take a risk, he's a good risk pick.
Sure, but that's not my thing.
No,
I'm not a regular nation.
If you happen to have 2 running backs already, and you're gonna go wide receiver heavy for a few rounds, I wouldn't hate having Brown and then later getting I don't know,
Diggs
Diggs,
Cooper,
and then
as a
Godwin,
solid wide receiver too,
and then a third wide receiver
upside
right after.
Yeah. Sure,
and just being well, I have 3. One of them's gonna do it.
So guys that have the potential to be wide receiver 1. So if Brown is a 2 for some reason because it falls apart in Oakland, it's not the worst thing.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but here's what you do: you make sure you have a Raiders fan in your league, and have them draft Antonio in the first round, and just get the other guy that falls to you.
Oh, that's the dream.
Yeah. So
get those Raider Nation. Just win.
So you were right about the next guy though.
I did
T.Y.
jump. But
T.Y.
Hilton.
Yeah, and we have him each at 9, and he's our consensus 9. He's the expert's 9.
It's not a ton to say about T.Y. He's been doing it for years. He's got Andrew Luck back. Andrew Luck did it last year.
Yeah, I was in the mock, I think. I was pimping him up a bit, and I was either convincing you or SK to be like, I guess I think I do like T.Y.
I think you convinced me to take him, I believe.
Yeah, because it was mainly because it's tied to Andrew Luck.
Yeah,
and we'll get into it later. I'm very
as
high
a Bay
Andrew
Area
Luck.
boy, you can always make me go. I wish we had Andrew Luck.
And he is actually going to have a lot more options. So less targets potentially for T.Y. Well, he hasn't really ever needed a ton of targets to produce because he gets the ball downfield. He has lots of yards after catch and a long...
Gives him a more open field.
The average depth of target for him is very long. So, he can do it with 70 balls. He's kind of like Amari Cooper where he doesn't need 100 catches. He can do it with 70, 80 balls and get 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns easy.
Yeah.
So...
And, ideally, he's not your wide receiver 1, but it's not the end of the world.
I'm fine with it.
You just got to make sure you get a solid wide receiver right after, I think.
Sure. But like I said, if I would have ended up with, instead of Evans, 3rd round, take T.Y., if you are the guy that gets Kelsey or something like that, or draft 2 running backs, and it's okay, Hilton's my wide receiver 1, you shouldn't feel bad about yourself because you could potentially have the best wide receiver on the best offense in football next year. We don't know. So.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing is if you win at one position really well at the beginning of your draft, it's okay to not have strength at every single position, right? You don't have to have the best of the best of the best. You're drafting for overall performance. So sometimes I'll go, running back. And yeah, I may end up with a guy further down this list if I do that. I might end up with AJ Green, who might fall a little bit and be draftable late. And you know what? Oh well.
Yeah.
If I have Saquon Barkley and I don't know, Gurley is a late flyer and they both go off, I don't care.
Right.
So it's one of those things for sure.
We're still in the hell yeah tier though of your wide receiver 1 for me.
For sure, I think so.
I think T.Y. is the best opportunity to jump in.
Honestly,
Antonio,
I think until 13 is where the hell yeah tier goes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think there's a tier right here for me because this is where the controversy starts for us. So
yeah. So 10 is not consensus, but it is. I have Thielen at 10.
We have consensus that he is our 10. I just have Thielen at 11.
Yeah.
Which is still very high. Adam Thielen's just really shown that he can kind of do it all, and he's another fun player to watch, just like contested catches, really amazing route running, does it out of the slot, does it on the outside. Really good, reliable offense, I'd say.
Yeah,
and I think they're going to have the Vikings have to have a better season this season, in my opinion. I know you're a little low on them, but
I'm a little skeptical, but I still love Adam Thielen. I've had him a few years in a row, and he makes me happy.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of like other folks to be targeting on that offense, so
that's true too.
I think that SK ended up with him in his in our mock, and I know he was like totally good with it, and it's always hard to like decide is it Thielen or Diggs, but I think Thielen established himself a little bit more last year. So
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hating on him at all by having him at 11 instead of 10, but just missing my top 10.
So he ends up as our consensus 10, but where the controversy is at 10 you had AJ Green.
Right, and
meanwhile, I have Green much lower.
Right, and I think a lot of folks are going to be afraid of AJ at 10.
Last year was a tough year.
So
it's not like he got that much changed around him. So
yes. So I mean, but he's done it before in those exact 100%. Circumstances, and so like if the toe injury is doing better, and it's hard to get 16 games out of AJ Green.
100%. That is my worry. And if he's my wide receiver 1 or even like a quickly drafted 2, I want to get 16 games out of him.
Right.
That is just how I feel about a lot of that.
So it's the give and take of like paying F for respects for AJ Green and his talent, and also acknowledging the guy's a little banged up, and he
also a little bit older.
He and Julio were drafted back to back or whatever, so you have to be like, okay, if you're going to say that about Julio, which is going to fall off soon.
It's kind of where I land on Green too.
And Green's probably had more significant injuries
and
with
also
like hamstrings and things.
Had more down years as well, I would say.
Yeah, I would say than Julio, sure.
Yeah.
Well, he's had a less reliable offense and team.
Oh,
and
for sure. It's not
him.
Necessarily Green's fault, but it's just
totally.
It is what it is.
Yep. So I'm being stubborn
Green
a bit.
is our 11 though, because I have him at 13. You have him at 10.
If he's healthy going into the year, I'm just gonna like stand by it. But like last season, Cole actually saved my season by I have Green and Adams right next to each other, and I just got Green in the league. Should I get Adams? And I had Green higher, but he was like, just take Adams, and that won me the league. I would not have won the league had it not been for that. So thanks, Cole. But so like the pick comes with some risk, but I don't know if you necessarily have to draft him at 10. Let's see what the consensus got him at 11.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you might be able to just see him fall a little bit and snatch him up. And another one of those guys of like, reinforce the wide receiver position. Make sure you get 5-6 guys where if Green falls off, that's a problem. But you can still make it happen with replacements in the event that he does go down. But crossing my fingers, AJ makes it 14, 15, 16 games and gives you that like reliable, stud leap output. So
yeah, I agree.
Next on our list is big Keenan Allen. We actually have them both at 12.
We just have skipped my 11.
We skipped over your 11, who we'll have next. So Keenan is has now proven himself that he is over the knee injuries.
For sure.
And
I mean, I'm still scared of him.
Rivers is a little bit older. It's like, I think everyone pretty much knows he's like a top 10 or 12 wide receiver because of his, ability to, separate. He's one of the best separators in the league. So he's just open all the time. And he goes on these streaks usually in the second half.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
He's like a slow starter, and then he just picks it up, and suddenly is it like usually, I don't know, around Thanksgiving or whatever, it's like, where the fuck did Keenan Allen come from? Because he's balling, and he'll be like wide receiver 1 for 5 weeks. Thielen does the same thing, but like in the beginning of the season. Yeah. We'll see if it continues to have that same track record, but it's not like I'm thrilled about Keenan Allen if he ends up as my wide receiver 1, but I think he's right there. You can't be like, look at my wide receivers, Keenan Allen, wide receiver 1, but like, you can also be like, I have hope. Yeah, you shouldn't be like down about it. You shouldn't think that you lost the league. You didn't fuck up where it's like, if you have Amari, for example, it's like, that's like a make or break, because Amari's either going to get 30 yards or, 208. What did he get in that one game? Like 2 something and 3 touchdowns. Yeah. So he's going to do that or the other week in and week out, and who knows what's going to be at the end of the year. Probably a wide receiver 1. But Keenan is just more of a reliable force for, a reliable offense and a passing offense. So, yeah.
Cool. And then at 13, we have Cooper, who I had 11. You had 14.
Yeah. And it's not that it's sort of like who did I have earlier where I was, it's not like I'm hating Thielen for having him at 11. I'm not hating Cooper for having him at 14. It's just the inconsistency. But I think he's set up for success more than he has ever. And
I mean, based on what he did last year once he went to Dallas, I think like it's kind of like the Khalil Mack thing. Like I think like maybe the Raiders are just that big of a shit show. Players go other places and have success. I think it could just be the truth with that.
Talent-wise, I don't disagree that.
And Amari Cooper has always been one of those guys that everyone's like, he could be a superstar.
Physical freak, great route runner, somewhat questionable hands at times, but you can forgive that in fantasy because it's all about the output. And I just like the limiting factors, I would say, is just like I think the Cowboys might be like pretty good next year with a solid defense, and obviously they're going to tote the rock like 30 times a game.
Yeah.
So
True.
It limits the amount of like balls that are going to Cooper, but he's like the unquestioned wide receiver 1 there.
Yeah.
So like that's like a Mike Evans type or
he's a good upside
Antonio
pick,
Brown type.
I think.
So yeah.
And if he's ranked lower, I think you can get good value out of him. If you can get him at like the 14 where you have him, I would take him at the 14 all day.
Right. The only reason I have him at 14 is because I have Stephon Diggs at 13.
Who's now our 14 because I have him at 15.
Right. And I love me some Stephon Diggs. He's one of my...
I do too. I think that's a crowded wide receiver field.
I feel like I was on Stephon Diggs before a lot of people because he was like a 5th-round draft pick, but he like made this like diving end zone catch in his rookie year, and I'm like, that guy's good. And he's just come on so fast and... Absolutely. Really amazing ability. He is just quite inconsistent. So
and again, there's the Thielen problem.
Yes.
And also there's the Kirk Cousins problem.
Sure.
I mean, realistically speaking, I'm just not high on Kirk.
That's fair. Yeah. So like Diggs might give you that same inconsistency as Cooper with maybe a little less upside.
Yeah.
So like maybe it's a tiny bit of like a heart pick because I love Diggs and I do not like the Cowboys because I'm a Niners fan. So
Me
it's
too,
like,
but I like Amari for whatever reason.
Sure. No, I do too. I really like owning him. I had him last year, and he did well for me. So those guys are pretty interchangeable. I love them both. That's the tier right there at 14 because we did our mock, and let's see, we didn't skip any guys for you. Actually, no. So you have a guy above
slightly
Diggs.
Above Diggs.
So I view this as the tier.
Okay. I could agree with that. I don't hate having Cooks behind Diggs. It's really kind of.
So you're propping me up because I picked Cooks in that that mock pod we were talking about where I ended up with Cooks as my wide receiver 1 because I went double running back tight end, and I was like, I guess I have Brandon Cooks as my wide receiver 1, which I didn't feel that great about, but
I think he's going to be the guy in Los Angeles. So
right, it's that. It's Woods, it's Cup, and it's Cooks, and they're all.
I think it's a crowded wide receiver field, but I think Cooks will be the guy. Hopefully,
the experts have Cup at 21, Woods at 16, and Cooks at 15 right
Which
now.
I don't. That's why I don't want to touch any of them.
It's like
they're all ranked too high. They can't have that kind of production out of all 3 guys.
Right, and I end
one
up,
of them is going to be a bust.
I end up coming in lower on Cup. Your rankings here they don't say that you have them all in your top 20. So
that's true.
You're like
I want now that we're talking about it, I have now thought about it.
Right,
it's one of those things. Like I'm looking at the names only, and I'm just like, yeah. I like Cooper Kupp. He's good.
He's undeniably a really, really, really good wide receiver.
And then I'm like, ooh, I like Robert Woods. He's good.
So underrated.
And then I'm like, I like Brandon Cooks. He's good.
But do you like?
But then
Jared
I'm like,
Goff?
They're all in the same wide receiver core with Jared Goff throwing to them, and I'm like, shit.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Kind of changes my rankings a little bit, but
yeah. And they also have Josh.
It evens out between the 2 of us.
And they also have Josh Reynolds, and Gerald Everett. And Tyler Higbee and Todd Gurley and Darrell Henderson. It's just like, Jesus, like, how can all that production...
You can't spread it out that much.
Right, so...
One of them's going to be a disappointment, but I think, like, the way we have it ranked is we have it ranked by who's least likely to be a40-yard. I think Cooks is least likely to be a disappointment.
He's that, like, 6 for 91 and a touch, and you're like, there it is. Like, as long as he gets that, like, 40-yard or, longer touchdown that he inevitably gets, like... he's not a big touchdown scorer, but he's been like very, very consistent since he was a Saint and then a Patriot and now a Ram. I mean, no one seems to want to hang on to him, but he's like always a top 15 guy. So to have him right at 15, I'm good with that. It's just like, this is your wide receiver 2 now.
Yeah. And then at 16, we have like the PPR machine, the PPR miracle, the go-to guy.
Muscle hamster.
Yeah, muscle hamster.
The new muscle hamster
for me. Julian Edelman.
Yeah, he's a Patriot, so it's hard to
we both have him at 16.
Get him 2 on board, and I'm assuming the consensus has him right there as well. They have him at 17 actually.
So we went a little higher, but I mean, he is Tom Brady's favorite target, and he's going to get those passes. And if you have half point or 1 point PPR, Julian Edelman's a not miss. Like if he's your wide receiver 2, you're in good shape.
Yeah, I think everybody would feel that way. Yeah, it's just like the big play upside is a little more limited.
Yeah. If you're not PPR, I drop him down to 20.
That's a good point, and this is where you should start thinking about like, oh, is this more of a touchdown guy or a yardage guy? Or
you need to be making those distinctions at this point.
And so like, if it's between if it's between him and Robert Woods, he's gonna catch more balls. So if it's full PPR, you go Edelman. If it may be Woods,
and then our next guy is Woods, which is consensus.
And
so you can flip flop those easy.
Right. So if it's a standard league, perhaps Woods like that pushes him over the top. I think a lot of leagues these days in rankings they go by half point PPR. We play half point PPR.
Yeah, I like half point PPR.
I think everybody does at this point.
It's very solid.
But yeah, you can make those decisions based on your league settings, and you should.
Yeah.
So it's another year under Tom Brady's belt. Who knows how long he can do it? But like, he doesn't have a lot of consistency around him right now with Gronk leaving, especially like
that is rough.
I mean, he needs his blankie, and his blankie's Julian Edelman now. So I mean. Big things for Julian, but like the upside is obviously capped because he's 34 or whatever, Brady's 40, whatever, like,
For sure.
But it's solid.
But yeah, agreed. And so we already went over kind of Woods a little bit. But
we
Woods
talked about
is our
that
next,
offense.
and he's a consensus pick. After that, we have Galladay, which I had 18, you had him 19.
Yes, and I love Kenny G. I was like worried that I wouldn't be able to rank him this high, but I don't know. I just don't know what they're doing in Detroit.
Nobody does.
They're turning into a running team, and he's just so talented and uber athletic. And like his highlight reels last year were so fun to watch.
Oh my god!
But he was the only one out there because Marvin Jones was hurt. So Jones is coming back.
If the soundboard was working, you believe me, I would be playing some sexy sax.
Oh,
music.
no kidding. And
Kenny G.
Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah,
such smooth routes. But
he's my hopeful wide receiver 2 this year, depending on where I'm drafting.
I
would love to have him as my wide receiver
agree.
2.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him just as a player and talent. He needs to tweet more, but that he'll
we'll
get
work on
that.
him. We'll work on him.
Yeah, but I don't know about the Lions and Matt Stafford, and I was watching a lot of Calvin Johnson highlights recently though, and he can throw it up to a tall guy. So yeah, I feel okay. But I mean, I love Kenny as a player. I just
miss the Megatron.
That's one where I'm like, maybe I'm thinking more in my like a love of the player than the love of the offense.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah,
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
All right, and so then we end up in our last 2, which is a 19A and a 19B, because I have. Let's see here. I have Godwin at 19 and then Tyler Lockett at 21. I kind of boosted a little Cooper Kupp, but he didn't make our top 20. And then you've got
Lockett all the way up at 18.
And then you have Godwin at 20.
So they add up to, let's see. Yeah. So the
19A is kind of a Lockett pick.
Right.
Which, I think Tyler Lockett's going to Tyler Lockett. Who else are they going to throw to?
DK Metcalf, David Moore. So good.
Maybe.
Will Disley.
Maybe. Yeah.
Big country.
It's a little rough up there, and we know that, there's continuity with Tyler Lockett, and Russ likes him, so.
He's like hyper efficient even for being a smaller guy, and I think he's finally arrived. I thought people were stupid for drafting him too high.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, he's just like dynamic.
Yeah.
So he's like peak Deshaun Jackson, and this is like Deshaun would always go around like wide receiver 18, and people would love it when he was in his prime.
100%.
Lockett's in his prime. He's got Wilson throwing the ball, scrambling around. So give me some of that.
Yeah. And then what do we feel about Godwin?
It's hard to say other than he is like a beast of a guy. He goes over the middle, makes tough catches.
Yeah.
A lot of vacated targets in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So, like, he's another
he
guy.
He has the opportunity.
Just follow the reports, but don't get too caught up in the hype and watch the preseason, like what Arians is trying to do with that offense. But,
Agreed.
Yeah, you got to feel pretty good if you end up with Godwin, like I did in the mock draft.
Preseason is so absolutely critical. These top lists are great right now, but
it is July 17th.
By week 3, everything can change.
Sure.
That being said, that is our top 20 wide receivers. We've busted through them. And I'm happy to announce that we've added some social media presence now that we're a few episodes in. So you can follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Bros Cast. That's Fantasy BROS Cast. And then you can also follow us on Instagram at the Super Fantasy Bros. You can search for us on Facebook by searching for the Super Fantasy Bros Super Podcast. And you can email us if you have questions.
If you email us, your question will get on the show.
We will put it on the show, even if it's terrible. superfantasybrospod@gmail.com.
There you go.
So that's another episode of Super Fantasy Bros Super Podcast. And this is Mike and T-Shirt.
Yes.
Signing off until next week. Cole's been waiting outside for like 10 minutes.
Get him.